Risottos are usually considered fairly indulgent because generally speaking they are fairly indulgent. There's a big old pile of carbs and fat and salt. So, you know, these are basically the same thing when you think about it. Now, the starting point for any decent risotto is decent stock, so we'll start there. Snickers Risotto, obviously I need Snickers stock. Well, alright, actually I'm going to need chicken stock first. Now, to get the snickeriness into this. Peanuts first, because there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of peanuts in these things compared to the chocolate and the caramel, so I want to give them a fighting chance to come through. Roughly chop, toast them, then into the stock. For the rest of the Snickers, get a Snickers. Roughly chop it and pop this into the pot too. Low to medium heat and just let that infuse or melt or whatever the hell else it needs to do. So that's the base, but as well as the stock, I want this risotto to have all of the elements that you'd expect to find in a Snickers bar. So I want peanuts, I want nougat, I want nougat, I want caramel, I want chocolate, all of it. It's all going to be in there in one form or another. I'm going to look at the peanuts first, which is going to be a peanut butter. Butter with peanuts in it. So, stick of unsalted butter at room temperature. Just going to dice this for no reason whatsoever. Blitz down a handful of peanuts. Toast those off, same as we did for the stock. There you go. Let these cool slightly, then stir them into the butter. Think my nuts are a bit too hot. You can see where they're just melting the butter. It doesn't matter too much though, it'll firm back up when it's chilled. Season it, salt. Found a big bag of dry tarragon in the cupboard as well. Let's stick some of that in there too, why not? Black pepper. When that's combined, lay it out onto some cling film. Smooth it out a little bit and then roll it up. Try and get it relatively tight. And this goes into the fridge until we're ready to use it. Or if you want to get ahead, you can make this in advance and keep it in the freezer. Nougat. I could make my own, but I don't want to. So, Snickers, cut off the chocolate and the caramel. You don't get much nougat, do you? Ah, well. Once you've trimmed off two of them, they go into the freezer to solidify. It just makes them a bit easier to work with later. Check this stock. Looks a lot deeper in colour. Chocolate smell is really coming through now. Still not getting the peanut though, dumping a few more. Okay, let's start risottoing. Little bit concerned about how strong my nuts taste, so let's try and force even more of a nutty flavour into this. I'm going to cook my onions in a beurre noisette instead of plain boring old butter. So, butter goes into a pan, melt it down, and once it's stopped foaming and sizzling, it's going to start going brown and nutty. In simplest terms, we're boiling off the natural water content in this, and then frying the butter in itself. Skim off the scum, or it's just going to burn, and there's going to be a little bit of sediment under all this fat as well. It's going to need to be got rid of. So, stock's simmering, butter's browned. All I need to do now is dice an onion as finely as possible, so I'm going to use my mandolin. There you go, fine as fuck, and that took seconds. Why don't I use this more often? So, new pan, or clean and reuse the same pan, tablespoon of noisette. Check this stock, low to medium heat, and a handful of that onion. Just let it soften for a few minutes. When that's done, in with 100 grams of risotto rice. Now I'm using arborio purely because when I was stocking up for this episode, the supermarket was sold out of carnaroli. This'll still work fine though. Stir that through and let it do its thing for a few minutes. Splash of vermouth. And keep stirring, which, fair warning, is a sentence I'm about to get sick of saying and you are about to get sick of hearing. There we go, I think we're about ready to start ladling in the stock now. Solid strained. The chocolate and caramel would have melted in by now, but the peanuts need to be got rid of. There you go. Oh, fucking spoons, man. There. Anyway, this is the part of the risotto making process that's infinitely more satisfying to do than it is to watch, so bear with me for a few minutes. One ladleful at a time, add the stock to the rice and just keep stirring. I like that image. That'd make a good jigsaw to send to someone you hate. Anyway, keep stirring. More broth. And keep stirring. Have a look at this. Yep, still looks like rice. Seriously though, still very underdone. So back in the pot. Broth. And keep stirring. And keep stirring. I'm going to assume you get the idea with that now and move on. So, now apparently they don't just sell these teeny tiny Snickers, so I had to buy a tub of Celebrations for this. Filter through this for the Snickers, which is basically what I do with Celebrations anyway. It goes Snickers, then Twix, then Bounty, then Mars, then Caramel, then Milky Way, then Galaxy. God alone knows why they got rid of the truffle ones. What about you? Let me know in the comments what you think the correct Celebrations consumption order is. Peel a few of these. Slice into slices, then off to one side until we're ready for them. A lot of really rich, buttery, chocolatey stuff in this dish so far, so we need something to offset all that, balance the plate a little bit. So cast the sugar into a pan with enough water to cover it and bring it to the boil. Once the water's boiled off, it's going to look a bit more like that. Then you want to take it to a nice caramelly sort of colour. There you go. That's pretty much what we're after. Now in my 10 milliliters of red wine vinegar. Now this is going to look a little bit like it wants to kill you, but bear with it. There you go, see, told you. Pour this into a bowl, then follow it up with some extra virgin olive oil. Whisk as you pour. Salt, and whisk it some more. There we go. Now, fennel bulb, love this stuff, nice aniseedy flavour. Halve it and through the mandolin with the thin slicer attachment. Back to the risotto. There you go, that's a bit more like it. The rice is tender, the wet bit is some sort of creamy. Take this off the heat. Now stir in some grated parmesan. I'm not going to be overly generous with this, about 30 grams or so. Now remember those chunks of nougat that we froze? Yep, rock solid. Grate those in as well. Stir, season, salt, pepper. And I think we're ready to plate. There you go, level that out. And bring in our Snickers garnishes. Get that fennel into the caramel dressing. Shake off the excess. Nice pile of that in the middle. Slice a few cuboids of that peanut butter. Just make sure you let it defrost enough to slice if you keep it in the freezer. And microplane a light layer of some dark chocolate, ideally one with a high cocoa solid percentage. And there you go, Snickers Risotto. So immediately that looks chocolatey. Smells it as well. Got to see what this tastes like. Alright, yeah. You could be forgiven for thinking that this is a dessert, but it really isn't. It's not that you can taste the chicken specifically, but it's definitely coming across as savoury. Think like a mole. The butter's lovely. Not quite adding the crunch I was hoping it would, but it's nice to get them little pockets of buttery peanut. Not getting the time in it though, probably because it's dried. I think I should have put a lot more of this on, if anything. If you try this for yourself, I'd suggest you go with 7 sticks of this butter, not 3. Caramel dressing is amazing. It's really refreshing after all of that buttery, chocolatey rice. It's sweet, it's sour, together with the peanuts. It's almost sort of an Asian kind of flavour profile. Think sort of a satay sauce, but not quite. The aromats aren't there for that, but oh, fuck neither of them tiny little Snickers slices. I paid £3 for 2 Snickers. I'm not leaving them out. What's the plural of Snickers? Snicker-I? Snicker-O? Snickum? Anyway, whatever they are. Let's see how this works. Now you know you're eating a Snickers, and yet it's still, it works. It's delicious, and it feels as indulgent as you want a risotto to feel. Definitely one worth trying at home. And yeah, that was Snickers Risotto. Honestly, I'm surprised it worked as well as it did, but it really did. I stand by this dish 100%. Try it. Try it. Let me know what you think of it. And you know, even if you don't end up trying it, let me know what you think of the idea anyway. I'm always curious to know what, sane people think of these combinations. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thanks to everybody for watching, and until next time, get forked.